Well, good morning, YouTube. So you can see I'm carrying an umbrella. Not what I was hoping for this morning. I'm over it, guys. Like 5 days of nonstop rain. I mean, I can't really say nonstop. It has stopped. It's just not stopping long enough. I needed to stop for a week. Yeah, after the past few days, I was really hoping that today we'd wake up to sunshine. You know, temperatures are supposed to be 75 today. It would be a beautiful day if these gray skies and water droplets would go away. Well, it's about that time, 9 a.m. I'm gonna start rolling these curtains up. You know, it stopped raining by the time I was done walking Diego. Now it's coming back. All right, all opened up and waiting for the masses of people to come in and do business with us. All of these masses of nobodies. As you can see, Black Label's getting set up and opened up. Ciro's getting opened up. It's about that time. Well, at least I didn't have to wait as long today to get our first custom wrench. So, gentleman brought in this Tri-Glide. He's got the Custom Dynamics Pro Beast horn, and he wants a set of love jugs. Now, with this horn, the only love jug model I can make work, reasonably anyways, is the Mighty Mite series, and he's had the Mighty Mite series on his other motorcycles. He's happy with that. So we're gonna go grab a chrome Mighty Mite and install it on this motorcycle for him. Now, this particular customer also has the Harley-Davidson Cool Flow fan installed, and that does complicate my wiring a little bit, and that is because it uses the same electrical connector that we use to plug in the love jug. So I will have to build like a custom Y adapter to plug in here so that everything will still work in unison. All right, so I've laid out all my parts and pieces. This Molex connector will plug into the motorcycle and then duplicate the plug that it plugs into. And then we will split it off to the Deutsch 4-pin connector so the love jugs can plug into it. Pretty simple. All right, so there we go. Harness is made. Should be pretty simple to install. So I will disconnect this connection here, and then my harness will plug into here if I had a third hand. All right, so I plugged in there, then plugged the other end into that, and that leaves me the open end for once I route the love jugs, and I can just kind of tuck this and tie it all up in here. All right, guys, harness is built, love jugs are installed, and everything is working great. And while the customer was here, he decided that he wanted one of those Figurati dipsticks that we've been selling. Those things are hugely popular. Everybody loves them. And you guys saw when I did the 1,000-mile service on my bike, we did actually trap quite a bit of contaminants with that. It was definitely highly recommended, and they're super nice design, really nice quality. So we put the chrome knurled one on his bike. Hi guys, different lift, but it's the same bike. So our customer had asked me when I was done with the love jugs to roll the bike across the street to Black Label Performance. They're gonna do a header pipe exhaust system on it for them. And well, they don't have a good trike lift over there. So I was watching the guys having to kneel down on the ground, and it's wet. I mean, the ground is soaking wet. They would have been soaked, and it's not easy to do an exhaust on the ground. So I said, hey, why don't we throw it back on the lift? You guys just come over here. We got no business. It's not like you're in my way. Save your back. So I'm trying to help the neighbors out. Well, guys, since it's so slow, we've got no other work. It's a little after 1 o'clock now. I went ahead and threw Dr. Evil back up on the lift because Harley Davidson released about 2 weeks ago that they've got a recall going on. There's an issue with the motorcycle, so we're gonna put Dr. Evil up and see if I have that issue. Now, I did put my VIN number into the recall sheet or the recall page on harleydavidson.com, and my VIN number does fall into the affected category. Apparently what the problem is the power wire leading from the voltage regulator going back to the battery is routed in a manner where it can rub against the engine case. And over time, it can wear through the insulation of the wire and cause a short circuit. Well, when a short circuit happens, it tends to blow the fuse and all power shuts down on the motorcycle. That can be very dangerous when you're under operation. Imagine if you're leaning through a turn and all of a sudden the motorcycle shut off. It could be really, really bad and dangerous. Now, the repair for this is actually a really easy fix. It's just adding an additional zip tie in order to hold that harness away from that rub point. So if the bike is not affected yet, you can prevent this from happening with a simple zip tie. If you've already had the abrasion happening, Harley Davidson has a kit with a zip tie as well as a repair wire, and you can take it to your dealership and they will fix it for you free of charge because it is a recall. Now, my bike's just a little over 1,200 miles on it, so I'm hoping that maybe we have not had the wear point yet. So we're gonna go ahead and throw it up in the air and check out and see whether it's even happened. If it hasn't happened, we can put the zip tie on, problem solved. If there is an abrasion on the wire, then we can take appropriate measures there. All right, guys, now that the bike is up in the air, this is your regulator rectifier right here. On the back side is where the wire harness is going to be. All right, guys, so I pulled back my coolant reservoir to look at my frame sticker because on your frame of your motorcycle, it will tell you the manufacturer date. Because there is a window of manufacturing date where most bikes were affected, and mine was 6 of 24, so it was just made about 2 months before I bought it, but it definitely falls in with the dates of when the concern should be addressed, so we're gonna go check it out and see. All right, guys, well, I know it's really difficult to see in here, but if you look down in there, you can see that red and black wire. So the red wire and the black wire coming out of that plug, that is the affected wiring harness. Luckily, it looks like on my bike, it has already been zip tied away. It's already behind the cooling pack harness and zip tied. There's plenty of clearance. I get my whole hand in between it and the engine case itself, so I don't think that's an issue. So luckily, not something I have to deal with. But check yours, make sure it's been handled. And it's as simple of rerouting that and zip tying it off and away, problem solved.
What's going on, everybody? We're rolling throttle. We're down here with Adam. We're at the Smoky Mountain Bike Week Rally at the Foothills Parkway. And what we do exhaust systems from Sawicki. We do suspension from Suspension Technologies. And we also have the Motac tethers that makes your bags even better on your touring bikes. So come see us, come hang out, or at least say hey.
You know, for a minute, the sun came out. I got excited. I was like, oh, finally, the rain is done. So walked around, get a little film in, talked to some vendors, and then all of a sudden, here it comes again. Like, we're looking at the maps and the radar on the Weather Channel, and there's like nothing, and then they just magically appear, these little wet cells, just driving us crazy. Anyway, guys, I got Bob's bike up and lift. Now, Bob, he's kind of a staple out here on the road. He's been working for JP Cycle for a long time, and he asked me if I could go ahead and do an oil change for him. So, you know, trying to help other vendors out like we always do. We throw it up here, told him I get it done for him. Slow day, not doing anything else anyways. Knock it out before, hopefully, we get busy later in the week. Now, I let it sit here in the lift and warm up for a little while because Bob's been here working all day, and the bike was cold. You really don't ever want to change your oil when the oil is cold. You always want to warm it up, get everything moving. It gets all of the debris or particles that could be in the oil suspended in the oil better rather than settled at the bottom, so that when you drain it, you get more of that contaminant out. But not only that, but it drains better, drains faster and easier. I am just so over this rain. All right, guys, let's see how Amanda and Talon are doing over at the Myrtle Beach Rally. As you guys know, that they are going out there to handle that one, which we normally are, as we came out here to Smoky Mountain Harley Davidson. So this week we have 2 setups going in 2 separate locations, hundreds of miles apart. Let's check in to see how they're doing.
Good afternoon from Myrtle Beach. Tip, Talon, and I have just finished with our setup and getting everything out and organized. About ready to kick this show off. Come on down and see us.
Well, Amanda says, and some of the other vendors I talked to, it's pretty slow there starting as well. Now, they're still waiting on their product to get there because of the storm. It should have arrived today. It's not going to arrive until tomorrow. They've only had a few customers come up, and unfortunately, they had to turn them away because they don't have the product yet to do the service. So hopefully they'll be able to come back, and hopefully business there will pick up as well. But this storm, I think, has affected a lot this week. Hi guys, the crew over at Black Label Performance had another trike come in to do an exhaust. So again, using our shop space to make it easier for them. Good thing this bike has had some challenges on it that if they're doing it on the ground would have really sucked. Now, in case you've ever had an oil change and then realized right afterwards that your oil kind of looks a little darker than you think it should, it's because typically when you do an oil change in Harley Davidson, you're not getting all of the oil out of the engine. Unlike a lot of car engines, they are dry sumps. So they've got a remote oil tank that sits back here by the transmission, and the oil pump will pump oil from the oil tank to the engine, up through the engine. It gravity feeds back down to the lower sump here in the cam chest, and then the second side of that oil pump will pump that oil back to the oil tank until it's ready to be used again. So when you're doing an oil change, you're draining the oil tank, not actually the engine. So there is a certain amount of oil that always resides in the bottom of the crankcase, as well as your lifter bores, your push rods, so on and so forth. So, for instance, these old twin cams, they are considered a 4-quart system, but you're only actually changing about 3.5 quarts during the change. So what we did here is I pulled the plug out of the bottom of the crankcase, and this is how much more oil came out of the crankcase that you normally don't get doing a standard oil change. Bob's a friend, and he was concerned with that color contamination. So I told him I'd go ahead and pull this plug. This is a part of the normal service that we do. And typically, once you're with AMSOIL, the little bit of AMSOIL that's left in there isn't going to contaminate, obviously, because you got good oil in there already. But Bob here has been using that Lucas, oh God, I almost threw up again. You know what I'm trying to say. So we're going to see a really big improvement in performance in this motorcycle and cooling efficiency, smoother shifting, the whole 9 yards. I've converted a lot of people from that other brand, and they've been very happy with it. So we wanted to make sure to get every little last bit out of there so that he gets the full benefit. Now, the other thing that Bob asked me specifically to do was to do a flush on it. So we're going to put 1 quart of oil in here after we put this crankcase plug back in. We will then run the bike for 30-45 seconds. That 1 quart of oil will fill everything back up and prime everything. Then we'll shut it off. We'll pull both of these plugs again and get that 1 quart of oil, almost, we won't get it all, back out of there, replug it, and then we'll fill it to the full level on the stick with fresh oil. And that should look like nice, clean, brand new oil right off the bat, because there shouldn't be much more dark to mix in with it. Hi guys, you've heard me in this video and a few others this week mention Black Label Performance. It's a new name out here in the rally circuit, but they are not new to the rally circuit. So the team that Chris has put up here has been doing rallies for a long time under some of the other big corporate names that you're pretty well aware of, but they decided to go out on their own, make his own label, so to speak, Black Label. So they're out here doing this, really skilled team of people, great guys. Come out and check them out. All right guys, kind of ironic, earlier today we showed you how I was checking to see if my bike fell into that recall category, and it looked like the fix had already been done. Well, this customer came in today, and you guys know Slappy. He's been on the channel before. He's got his own YouTube channel.
Slappy Adventures.
Now he's converted. This is his first Harley, guys.
I've been changed.
You want to see a brand new Harley owner? Check out his YouTube. He's excited about this bike. Went from Goldwing to Harley, and he's loving it so far.
Yeah.
So go check out his channel. But anyway, he was talking with Katie, and she had mentioned about the recall. He didn't even know about it. So we decided to throw his bike up here and check it out. And his bike has not been fixed yet. So we're going to see what we can do to fix it. Now I showed you on my bike the wires, and if you can see in here, his is looped around and actually leaning against the engine. I know it's difficult to see in there. It's gonna be even harder to reach and fix, but you can see that little loop right there where it's leaning against the engine, where mine came straight down. All right guys, we finally got Slappy's bike done. It took a lot more than I expected. How long did I spend? Probably an hour and a half? Probably, yeah. So I didn't realize, because we didn't have to do mine, that we have to pull the crash bar out and you got to pull the radiator forward. I took the voltage regulator off of it, and it turns out you don't need to do that. So I know that for next time, so that'll save a little bit of time. I also took the oil filter off so that I could get in there with my big hands. Again, now that I know the right procedure, I won't have to do that again either. So I wasted some time, but it's the first time learning experience, but it's fixed now, and he doesn't have to go to the dealer. Now, obviously the dealer would do this repair for free, and there's no reason to bring it to me to do it, guys, because I'd have to charge you at least an hour and a half to do it. But yeah, it's not that hard to do. If you want to do it yourself, you could do it. All right guys, it was really good to get back out of the bike after being here in Maryville for 5 days already and not being able to ride the motorcycle because of the weather. It sucked, but right now the roads are dry. So we came out to this place called Kickback Jacks. Great food, great fun, never been here before. Slappy recommended it. We got done with his motorcycle, it was a little bit late, so we said, hey, let me take you guys out to dinner. So this is where we are.
She's already here, ain't
All right, guys, we had a wonderful dinner at what is it? Kickback Jacks. I can't say it right.
Yeah, nice meeting y'all.
Actually, the food is really, really good. The crew we were hanging out with, really good. Check it out. Go see Slappy on his channel. And Herc over here, he's got a channel too. Guys, he needs 52 subscribers to get to 1,000 so we can get that thing monetized. So I'm going to let him tell you about his channel. Go to it and help this dude out.
Oh,
Spill
man,
it.
put me on the spot.
Absolutely.
What it is, they call me Herc. Channel is Big Herc 80. You can see right there. What it is, I wanted to start a channel to show people they could do a lot of this work on their own at home. So I do some DIYs, I do some motor vlogging and installs and stuff like that. Everything on this bike we've done in the garage except the motor.
All right, guys, I haven't actually checked out Herc's channel yet, but I've been sitting here having dinner with him for the last hour and a half. I can tell you he's a stand-up dude, and I'm looking forward to going and checking it out as soon as we get a chance. But it's been a great day. We've met some great people, and we got some really cool things accomplished. We tackled 2 bikes with the recall on it, even though mine didn't really need to be done, but it was really awesome. But we're going to end this one here. So thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Until the next time we see you.
Keep those engines running.
Keep them running.
Keep them running.
Keep those engines running, y'all.
Jess and I wanted to reach out and say goodnight from Myrtle. It's about 9:30 and we're closing her out for the evening. We'll check back in with you tomorrow.